Great.
Oh,
On a
fantastic.
Wednesday, usually we have what we call the financial clinic, and that's what we want to get into in this hour. This situation that we find ourselves in, a lot of people are crying because they can't go to work, or they've lost their jobs, or they've had to take a salary cut. And it seems like it's all doom and gloom. But is that really the case? Are there opportunities within this season that we can scrutinize, look into, and maximize on? Now, this morning, joining me is investment business advisor Mo Ade from Moti. How are you doing?
Hello, good morning. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
It's
How are
good to
you
have
doing?
you. I'm doing good. It's good to have you on board. Since the last time we had an interview with you talking about shame money, there's been quite an interest in that topic, and I'm glad that we could have you again on the show to
Thank
talk
you.
to us in this season.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased.
Great. So, is it all doom and gloom in this season, or are there some things we can begin to look at and see things a bit differently where money and investment is concerned?
Well, we can't deny what is going on with the coronavirus situation and the lockdown. But I always choose to see opportunity in the midst of crisis. And if you look at the great men that have arisen over the years, they've generally come out of crisis, even right from the
Mhm.
Bible. You know, Joseph was became a seasoned economist through famine period. So
Yes.
definitely, it's not all gloom and doom. It depends on what you're looking at. I think the first thing
Mhm.
one needs to deal with is your psychology, knowing that no matter what happens, you know, you can survive and you will survive. And people have survived worse situations. We have people that have survived wars. So, I mean, this is what this is not a war, it is a lockdown. But
Yeah.
definitely, it's not all doom and gloom. That's what I believe, definitely.
Okay. I find it interesting that you say it depends on our psychology, because when you say that, I'm thinking a lot of people are just thinking about surviving through this season, and they are not looking beyond that. People are just thinking about, will I get my rent paid? Will I put food on the table? Will we survive through this season? Are you saying we need to think wider than that?
Absolutely. And I mean, it all starts with what you're thinking about, what you believe of yourself. Listen, it's everybody's going through a tough time. And what you're going to start with is having the tough conversations. You know, it's not easy, it's tough, it's difficult, but, you know, warriors come out of war. So it's not all doom and gloom. It is tough, but it's a conversation where everybody's having a tough time. See, Mr. James, from the wealthy to the middle class to the poor, everybody is having a tough time. You know, situations of, like you mentioned, people that are not paying rent. Yes, but even
Mhm.
landlords are struggling to pay the mortgages. So the landlords are having conversations with their banks, and you should be having
Yeah.
conversations with your landlord. It's what it is, you know. It's difficult, but
Mhm.
conversations must be had. And once the conversations are open, then we begin to walk through it, find solutions together. There's no point somebody living in isolation saying, no, you must pay my rent. If you don't pay my rent, you're going to be out. Look at America, for instance. You know, the government has still, you can't even, it's very difficult to evict people right now because how are you going to go through the court system? The courts are closed. Everywhere is on lockdown. So that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
You know, people are bending backwards. If people are not paying your rent as a landlord, you talk to your debtors, your creditors, the banks, and anybody you owe money that, look, this is what the situation is. And I think because of what has happened, you know, it's real,
Yeah.
it's not an endemic or an epidemic. It's a pandemic, which is basically an epidemic with a passport.
Mhm.
People are receptive to listening. People are receptive to bringing out solutions. And you'll be surprised how much you can solve just by having a conversation.
Okay, let's look at opportunities in this season, and first of all, let's talk about those people who may have a bit of money to spare. I think it was the newspaper yesterday that was talking about the stock market, and this is the best time to buy. And I thought, okay, that's an opportunity. But apart from that, what else can you tell us are some of the opportunities you're seeing for the people who may have a bit of money to spare?
Okay, let's start with people with a bit of money to spare and then we work our way downwards. So people with
Yes.
a bit of money to spare in this time, definitely you're right in terms of the stock market being down. And when I mean the stock market, you're talking of the global stocks, which are seasoned countries like United States, European markets, and so on. You're also talking about emerging markets. There are opportunities in that sector. So, for
Okay.
instance, look at, I was talking to somebody about the some Kenyan stocks, such as KQ, Kenya Airways is in trouble. I mean, the stocks are going for like less than a shilling. You know, that is an opportunity out there because, of course, investing in the stock market is a risk. But
Yes.
the truth of the matter is that sometimes they're risk worth taking. You know, if you never plant, you never expect to sow.
Yeah.
You win some, you lose some. So there are opportunities in the sector. I even particularly advocate the global market, and that's because a lot of countries are hard hit. Now, this show is not just for Kenyans, so it's for people all across Africa, even beyond that listen to your show. So if you take, for instance, the Kenyan shillings, it's
Mhm.
falling against the dollar. Okay,
Yeah.
if you take the Nigerian naira currency, it has fallen against the dollar. If you take the South African currency, it has fallen against the dollar. A lot of these currencies are falling against the dollar. So you invest in the stock market is number one, not just investing for the long term or for the short, medium term to make money, but it's also to edge against inflation. Typically in America, the inflation rate is about 3%, similar in UK, 2-3%. So you're edging your money against inflation, unlike a lot of emerging markets and Africa that has double digit inflation. So that's one.
Yeah.
Another thing you're doing is also you're protecting your currency. You know, so
Uh-huh.
you look at Nigeria. Nigeria was about 360 naira to the dollar. Right now in the black market, it's going for like 450 naira to the dollar. That is
Wow.
a huge devaluation. You're talking what? A lot. What percentage are we at? What, 30% or thereabout? That is a
Mhm.
lot because everybody's getting salary cuts now. Everybody and people that have children outside the country studying, they're bleeding seriously now. So I've always been an advocate of diversifying your investments. And diversification, like I always say, is not just diversifying in multiple asset class. So you're doing paper assets such as stocks, bonds, commodities, forex. You're also doing
Mhm.
real estate. So it's
Mhm.
diversifying your asset, number one, diversifying your currency, and then diversifying
Yeah.
the countries which you're investing in. And it's not difficult to invest in all these markets. It's just getting the right information, getting the right knowledge base, and then taking that chance and then taking that risk. So for people that have money, now is a
Yeah.
great opportunity. And you also have to know that in February, the stock markets, which is the indexes, the DGI, which is the indexes of the top 30 companies listed on the stock exchange, the indexes, and then the S&P, the top 500 and five stocks listed on the S&P on the stock exchange as well. They hit an all-time high, but since then they came down like 30%. Now they're going up. A lot of stocks have gone up, in the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks because people realize that this disease is coming to an end. People are slowly believing that in the next couple of weeks, businesses are going to be opening up, countries are going to
Yeah.
be opening up. So you're seeing the curve going back up. So this is the time to invest, or else you're going to miss this drastic opportunity to invest in the market. So if you have money,
Okay.
definitely look at opportunities within the stock market and look at opportunities within the real estate sector. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
when you talk about investment, this paper asset is not in isolation. It trickles down to real
Yeah.
estate. So the paper asset,
Yes.
the stocks are affected, but eventually also this real estate will be affected. They work hand in hand because people need the liquid funds in the stock market to fuel the real estate market. So real estate also is going down. And real estate, when it goes down, it doesn't recover as quickly as the stock market. So this is an
Okay.
opportunity to look at in lands. This is an opportunity to look at properties. If you have good cash and you have access to credit, think about it. So when you have crisis mode, I know some of us, we're looking for bargains. So we hold on to our cash. Let's see how long this market is going to play. But you'll be shocked that the turnaround is going to be massive. Because remember, this is not a crisis that like 2009 that started with bad decisions in the real estate sector or subprime mortgages. This crisis is not fueled by economy. It's fueled by a disease that's crossed international waters. So I
Yes.
feel the recovery is going to be, it's going to be very soon. And before the end of this year, my belief is that all of this will be over. So this is the time to consider doing some serious investments if you have cash.
Okay, that's good. Those are good thoughts. What about those who may say they're barely surviving, or they don't have much even to spare? Are there opportunities for people like those? Looking at probably those who may be in the lower middle class and in the lower class, who right now their mindset may just be survival. Are there things that they can begin to look at so that they think differently?
Oh, absolutely. There are opportunities there as well. Listen, it's
Mm-hmm.
what, like I said initially, it is what it is. First, you have to treat your psychology. Know that this situation, a lot of people are bleeding. So that's the first thing. It's not an isolated, it's not a decision you
Yeah.
made. It's not some evil from the village or some frivolous behavior that everybody is hurting. And having said that, and like it's almost as if my timing the last time was just excellent, because last time I was on your show, I had the privilege to talk about shame money. And just to remind our viewers, for those that weren't able to tune in and for those that just listened to me for the first time, shame money is the money that you make shamefully. Okay, so everybody has a talent, a skill, a gifting, and you can monetize it, but you're ashamed of what people will say. So maybe you're a doctor, you're thinking yourself, I'm a doctor. Why am I'm not earning enough money? Maybe you should consider Uber driving. Maybe if you're a lawyer, maybe you should consider selling secondhand clothes. You should consider catering. You should consider maybe cleaning services, employ people as you grow. And so there are many opportunities in that sector. In fact, we must know that SMEs is the lifeblood wire of any economy, so we have to tap into that sector. And it doesn't matter whether you have a good corporate job or you're, wherever you are, you can start exactly from where you are. First of all, and there are many, many levels to that. First thing I like to deal with is deal with the whole shame thing. It is shameful what you're doing. Let's not doubt it. And
Yes.
that's why I call it shame money. What you're doing is shameful.
Yes.
You feel it's completely and totally beneath you, but you've
Mhm.
recognized that. And so you've shamed it, you've named it. Now it's time to fame it. Faming it is monetizing it and taking it. And there's tons of stories of people that have started as shame money and have gone global and built a conglomerate from shame money. Several. I know CJ Walker. There's a I think in Madam CJ Walker or something, the program on Netflix, people are watching, and she started with just, she had a fallout of hair and she made a product, and we know that she became a conglomerate. She became a multimillionaire just by doing that. So I employ people to do shame money. So, and the shame money, it's, there are two folds of shame money. So there are people that they're very good technologically. So now if you're very good, if you're a good writer, maybe you should start advocating your setting your services on Fiverr. People that can
Mm.
do blogging, if they can do blogging, there's money in YouTubing, there's money in graphics design. I see horrible graphics, and even I'm always on the lookout for people to do good graphics.
Yes.
Maybe it's something you have, and there's a lot of apps that you can train yourself in. Very little. Some of them you have to pay. Some of them, most of them are free. You can start with that. You can start with video editing. You can start. So if you're very technical, there's scores of things you can do. Some people do drop shipping. I know people that sell a lot of goods. They don't even. It's not their money. So basically, they have they go they have certain websites where they get pictures. They download pictures. They put it out there to sell. People pay them. They take away their profits and they remit the rest and they get it delivered. And it's a multi-billion dollar industry, big multi-billion dollar industry, in fact. That is from the comfort of their home. They haven't put any money in that product, and they're making good money. They monetize that. So some people have talents or knowledge skill. They can put it in online courses, short courses, putting contents together, and they can monetize it. And some people, I recognize that some people don't have those technological skills. So some people, it's cooking, you know, people need to eat during this period. One thing I love Kenyans for is the ability to utilize their space. Give a
Yes.
Kenyan a little bit of land behind their house, and she will provide a horse of vegetables for you. I love that Kenyan. So I tell people, Nigerians, because Nigerians are not particularly like that. We're not really into. We tend to build, have nice paving stones on our compound or flowers. Maybe you need to uproot those flowers and put some veggies in there.
Yes, very.
Stuff like that, and there's, sometimes some people need cleaners in their homes. Maybe you can render your services for a couple of minutes. Some people need virtual assistants. I've had some people contact me online that if you have, I'm a virtual assistant, I can help you do a whole scores of stuff. People are monetizing that. I had a mentee, and she works in a top university, and she can bake. And I said, you know what? And so I put down a program to get her mentoring. I said, look, you need to monetize this. Call people. And the last week she was getting orders. People that wanted her to bake bread, chapati, cakes. People that wanted her to do all of that. And she's baking and she's monetizing it. Listen, it's a business that you build. So kidogo, small by small,
I,
eventually.
I love the fact that you've talked a bit about online, things that people can do online, because one of the things I recognize is that in this season we have a lot of people who are at home and a lot of people are online. I mean, the online activity has spiked, but the sad reality is that a lot of people are online, but they're not online doing anything that is bringing back any kind of monetary value back to them. Some don't even recognize that they have opportunities. You've talked about graphic designers, you've talked about virtual assistants, you've talked about writing. And, I think we need more insight into these online platforms, because people are already there. They're already writing some things. So it may be bad things or good things, but they're writing anyway. They may be doing their own videos anyway, but people don't know how to make money out of that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good question. And I realized, but one thing you must know, like anything else, is you have to build your audience. So you have to start from somewhere. So it's not a situation, if I told you there was a get rich quick scheme, run away from it. Go online and all of a sudden you're making so much money on a daily basis. It's false, and it doesn't, that world doesn't exist. And if it does, there's no longevity there. You have to understand that you build these things. So the whole premise of shame money that I talk about, and I encourage people to go to my Instagram pages, click on the link there. It has a lot of information, a lot of resources. It teaches you, we're releasing an online course very soon where it teaches you from day 1 to day 14 what you can do each day, and by the 14th day you should be launching your business. Okay, day by day it tells you what to do, because a lot of people have been approaching me that this shame money, now you talk about it, but after you talk about it, it seems like a great idea. What do I do next? And I understand that I can't teach everybody every time, every day. So I put together ebooks. In that resource, there's a free ebook there. There's going to be a free webinar where I'm going to actually teach people how they can take their shame money from one level to the other and start and launch their business in 14 days. There are lots of free resources online. So I put a lot in that course, and I hope people will sign up for it. Go to my website, www.moneystewards.org. You can put your name and your email information there, or you can just go to my Instagram page, click on the bio, follow me on Instagram. There's a lot of information I'm going to be disseminating, because I understand your show is an hour. We can't break everything down. But what I'm saying is that there's plenty of opportunities, and it's a huge industry. And if people are monetizing their knowledge, then you and I have to as well, And there's an art to this. There's the marketing part, there's the creating the product, there's the disseminating the product, there are different stages to it. I've been able to work with people and we're putting this together, and we're hoping that, people are going to be part of it. Like I said, there's a free ebook you can read that can bring you up to speed. There's a free webinar I'm putting out there. And for those that want to for those that we spoke about earlier on, that they have access to cash and they're looking to invest in the global market. Well, there's also that as well, because you can't just wake up one day and decide that I'm going to start investing, I'm going to buy that stock. I discourage people. You have to be knowledgeable. So I have all of that as well, information. I have all that resource where I take you step by step. I teach you how to trade stocks. I teach you how to go about real estate, not just getting real estate from any broker or any realtor. Getting bargain real estate in the offer foreclosures or auction real estate. I have all of that resource and I can teach you. So there's plenty of information out there. And yes, you're right. It's not something that you can just go online. And a lot of people are online just wasting their data, consuming information that is not relevant. A lot of us were swayed by gossips. Let's be honest. Let's take accountability for what we say. You know, people can be online for 4 hours and not get anything because you're consumed about, I don't know. I mean, I'm not against the Kardashians, but really, if you're spending hours watching the Kardashians, there's hardly any business opportunity you can derive from that. You know, you have to consume the right knowledge. That's the first thing, and then you have to anchor yourself to somebody that can then hold you through the process of taking things from one step to the other, because it is a process, as you would imagine.
Yeah.
There are arts to, you know, there's a madness to this art, but we're on tuning it, and we are going together. And I'm very confident that God has given us a lot of resources in this generation, and we're not going to go to waste.
Okay. There's something I've always wondered about. It seems like there are people who are wired for business, so to speak, in that they see something and immediately they have ideas on how you can convert this thing to bring in some money. And then there's the other part, there's the other group of people who they're so wired for employment. And so for them, unless it is a job that I do and at the end of the month I get a salary, I'm not able to think beyond that. So how do you transition? How do you get to that place where you can begin to recognize opportunities? Because sometimes you see somebody doing something and you're thinking, why didn't I think of that? In fact, I can do that better than they're doing it, but I had never thought of it. So how do I make that transition to start seeing opportunities for what they are and to begin to harness them so that I can gain something from it?
Thank you so much. That's a very important question. And I think I can answer that question very well because I have been on that track. When I was very focused on employment, I was very focused on climbing the corporate ladder. I was very focused on career. So I understand exactly where you're coming from. But along the line, situations change. Some, especially we women, sometimes you have a child and that employment doesn't work out. Sometimes you're fired, you know. Sometimes, you know, the company downsizes. There's so many reasons why it does not work out. The answer to that question is, when you decided to go to employment, okay, a lot of us didn't have relevant experience. Okay. And even if you had relevant experience, when you go to a job, you have to be trained on that job, right?
Yes.
So exactly. So if you're going to be trained for employment, then you can be trained to be an entrepreneur. It's training. It is, both of them is training and mentorship. So for instance, if somebody comes to my house and they want to work for me, sometimes they have experience, sometimes they don't. Even if they have experience, I do things differently. I want things to be done as the way I want it to be done, because that's why I'm paying you. Okay. So I will show you what you need to do. So if you can acquire, that's why I say, in this lifetime, really, there's nobody born a certain way. You know, whether it's your sexuality, whether it's your religion, you acquire all the skills. When you made a decision that you wanted to be a Christian, you had a choice. You could go Scientology, you could be a Hinduist, you made a decision you wanted to be a Christian. So, and when you made that decision, you began to learn Christian behaviors. Okay, you went through a source of experience and training and you learned those behaviors. That's the same thing with employment. You chose to go for employment because you wanted a certain structure. You wanted to learn those skills, and you learned those skills and you built on those experiences. The same way you can learn for entrepreneurship. Look at our forefathers. None of them were employees. You know, a lot of them were entrepreneurs. That's the truth. That's the truth. Exactly. So we in our DNA as a human being. Now, I'm not going to kid you. Not everybody can be that huge employer that employs hundreds of people or thousands of people. Exactly. But we can acquire and learn any skill we put our heart to. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me.
Let's talk about looking ahead, because one of the things I realize when I look into the lives of people who are great investors and people who know how to create wealth, it's almost like they're always a step ahead or 3 steps ahead of everybody else. So currently, with what we are going through, a good number of the population is just focusing on survival. My rent, having my meal, let's wait this thing out until it clears, and then after it clears, then we'll know what to do. But I believe there are people who've already begun thinking about, after this whole situation, what are people going to be looking for? What are people going to be doing? Is it important for us to think that way?
Absolutely, it is important. It is biblical. It is mandatory. You see,
Yes.
one of the reasons why I always look at because I learn a lot from the developed countries. One of the things they do is that you see them doing this 5-year projection, 10-year projection, 20-year projection. They have a plan, they have
Yeah.
goals. But we in the emerging market, we tend to live each day. Okay, let me hustle out today. Tomorrow, we'll see what tomorrow brings. You have to have a
Yes.
goal and a plan. You have to have a goal and a plan. When God took the children of Israel from the land of Egypt, He had a plan for them. I'm taking you to this land. This is the land flowing with milk and honey. This is this. It had steps. And if you look at throughout history, God does things methodically. His creation says it all. And the first day, He did something. Second day, He did this. Third day, He did this. Fourth day, He did this, And everything He did is systematically. So that's an issue that a lot of us have. We just want things to magically happen. Whether we're Christians, we believe that as long as you have faith, you will just hope for miracles. No, you
Yes.
need to be methodical about stuff. You need to plan. So yes, you're right. I know from this, I've learned a lot from this coronavirus. Before coronavirus, my business was very much, I focused on investments and so on. But I realized that during this period, I needed to change some strategy. I needed to now go into a lot of knowledge-based products. And that's why I had to revamp myself to bring myself up to speed so that I don't become obsolete, and that's why successful people are innovators. And
Yeah.
it's not rocket science. It's just you making sure that you have the right set of associations, you have the right people that can give you information. Watch programs like this, because I love your program. I mean, you people do it on a Wednesday, on a daily basis, on every single Wednesday, giving us information that we need to have,
Yeah.
So all those things are important.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking at my clock and I'm thinking we have about 5 more minutes left. So, how can you encourage those who feel like they really have to turn to? Maybe somebody lost a job, or somebody has had to shut down their business because there are no clients, and they're in a place where they feel like, will I ever get out of this hole? What kind of encouragement can you give them today?
Okay, so this is what I'll say to you. Everybody is hurting. The rich, the poor, the middle class. Every single person is hurting, and we are not in a hopeless generation. We're not in a hopeless situation. We have hope, and we must. So that's where we tap into our faith. We believe that these things will work out. These too shall pass. Remember, look at historically. People have gone through Great Depression. People have gone through gas chambers. A lot of people have gone through a lot, and some of the generations are here to tell the story. Listen, it will pass. All right, have the tough. But this is what I'll say to you: don't be. This is not a time for necessarily if you're trying to survive. Maybe you should look at your business, re-strategize. Not necessarily expanding. Look at the things that you can do. So if you're a business, if you're into a particular thing, look at what people need. Here,
Yes.
if you're in the food industry, people would always eat. People will always need food. I encourage agriculture, no matter how small. You will start small, you think big, but you will survive this situation. I promise you, you will. We've gone through worse, and I look forward. If you want to engage out of this, I look forward to hearing from you. Check me out on Instagram. I'm Moneystewards. Send me a DM. I'm happy to chat with people. That's what I've been doing all through, encouraging people, because I know my brothers and sisters, we are all hurting. The big companies, they're begging the government for money, and the small people are trying to eat and survive. We are all hurting, and I know that we will get through this. Absolutely. So I look forward to hearing from you. Again, check me out on Money Stewards, and let's do this together.
Somebody saying she said her website so quickly we had no time to get it. So maybe you can give us your
Let me
website
say
again.
slowly then. So the website is www.moneystewards. Steward is S for sugar, T for Tommy, E for Echo, W for whiskey, A for apple, R for Romeo, D for Delta, S for sugar. Moneystewards.org. So you check me out. Moneystewards on all my social media handle, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Send me a message and I'll respond. If you go to to my Instagram page, there's a link. Click on the link. You can download all the resources enough free resources for you to download, where I go into detail about shame money. I'm organizing a free webinar very soon. Sign up for it, and we can continue to have the conversation, because we only have very limited time to do this on radio. We can have deep conversations on how we can help you and take your business forward. Okay, but either leave your email address on the website or click on the bio and leave the details. We definitely want to make this work, and we have to stick with each other. And I believe we can make it work.
One final question, because I know you are a Christian, you're a believer, you're a minister of the word. Maybe one or two thoughts about some lessons the church needs to learn through this season.
Thank you very much. The church needs to learn a lot of things. But the church needs to go beyond just speaking to its congregation and leave the message of God will do it, God will do it. God has empowered us. God made the tree. We have to make the furniture. God gave us the trees. We have to turn into tables and chairs. So we as a church, as a community, as a body, we need to start teaching our members differently. We need to start giving them resources to empower them, okay? When they are empowered, the church is empowered, because if they make money, they would not be reluctant to pay tithe and offering, okay? But we have to have that conversation and provide the resource. And I can understand a lot of pastors are not entrepreneurs, a lot of pastors are not in that space. Reach out to us that are into the finance industry, and those of us willing and urging to help us through this, okay? Is one of the greatest things I love to do. I love to talk to people all the time, because I've been there, you know. Let me tell you something. I did not start running a multi-million-dollar investment firm. I've claimed before. I have taken out. I've done stuff that, you know, it's nothing illegal. I don't go there, but you know, when I was as a student, I remember when I used to wash old people. You know, I've taken care of old people. I didn't particularly like the job, but I had to. I've been a cleaner before. I've done all kinds of jobs, you know, so I understand what it is to start from the bottom up. All right. I've been an AVP in the financial services industry, and I was fired. So I've gone through the good, the bad, and ugly. So you're not talking to somebody who was just, you know, born into wealth and so on. I had to go through this one. I've got to go through a lot in my investment careers. I've had to build wealth. I went through the 2008, 2009 crash. And, you know, I had a lot of challenges during that period with the investment. I came out of it on top. And this is another challenge. I know from experience and from history that I will come out of it on top. So, and these things I'm happy, willing, and able to teach people. So we as a church, please, we need to do more practical stuff for our members. Not just saying, oh, yes, God did it, then he will do it. God has empowered us. So we need to take up the mantle and do it. And as a member, you also have to have faith that you can do it, okay? You can do it. Reach out for there's plenty of resources online. Reach out. And you know what? Whatever happens, have faith. Fill yourself with the joy of the Holy Spirit. Because you know what? You are in whatever situation you're in. But one thing we are assured is if you have the joy of the Holy Spirit, then you put his integrity online. He has to make it work. He's God. He has to provide for you. So sometimes, you know, I go through tough situations in my company. You know, we're investment firm. We have issues like any other company. I look into God. I said, God, this situation, I don't even want to worry about it. I feel because listen, there's a lot of depression to go around. Yeah. I don't want any of it. There's a lot of people that are losing their lives. I don't want any of it, because the Bible says a living dog is better than a dead lion. The fact that he made you wake up this morning, he has something for you. His benefits are ever sure. So every day you wake up, remind yourself who you are and go and get the best of that day, because he's giving you the ability to wake up. A lot of billionaires we're talking about have died. I can tell you at least 3-4 billionaires that I know that have died in the last 1.5 weeks, you know. So this coronavirus is humbling experience for all. It does not discriminate between the rich or the poor. It's taking thousands of people, but by God's grace, we're not going to be part of it. So fill yourself with the joy of the Holy Spirit. He's there for you, okay? He's not going to deny you. You just have to keep on going, and you know that this too shall pass. If anything, you know how this story ends, and it shall end in praise. I can assure you.
Thank you so much for the time to talk to us. We are truly blessed. Check out your sites, and we will download those things you've talked about. Great dates. Greetings to your family.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity and the time to spend with you this morning. Greetings to your family, and I'll see you at the top.
Awesome. Well, I hope this session today has been helpful to you as we have looked at some of the opportunities. We get to 10 o'clock. Mark Schultz, Father's Eyes.